Yeah, this is take three. Take three. Why is this take three? Because the first take, it ends up that the program that I'm using, the Ecamm Live, in other words, in which I can stream and record, needed an update, and then it was all jacked up, and so I had to restart and turn everything off and turn it back on and sign back in, and Facebook I had to redo whatever, and so that was kind of a wash. So I restarted. I did take two. Take two I did, and I ended up coughing, so I hit the button to mute out my cough because I didn't want you to hear my coughing. And so when I pressed the button, it muted the audio, and then when I pressed it again, it didn't reactivate. So I had to go through, and so in other words, like 3/4 of the video, there was no audio after that cough. So that's why we're doing 3 takes on this. So hopefully third time is a charm. But today we're going to talk about the Philippines, because as you can see from the title up here, overseas retirement on the cheap, Philippines, vet friendly. The reason for this video is because I've had a number of people that are like, hey, they're fellow veterans, they spent some time in service, and always thank people for their time in service. Appreciate that. They get like Social Security, or they have a small military pension because they were enlisted and they weren't an officer. I knew I should have went to OCS and did all that. I had the opportunity to, but I didn't because I liked being with the boots on the ground. I like being with the Joes, but in hindsight, yeah, the pension is a lot less when you're enlisted than when you're an officer. I imagine that. What are the odds? So anyway, no crying over spilled milk. But these people contact me and they're saying, hey, I would love to retire overseas, but you're retired in Korea, but I don't have a Korean spouse, so I can't do what they can't do what I did, me and my wife. So they're saying and asking, do you know of any places that would be a good alternative to that? And being that you don't make a lot of money with the military retirement, being enlisted, or you just get Social Security, what are the options? The Philippines. The Philippines is an option, and this is a big one. It is veteran friendly. So we're going to go over this information. Philippines, in case you didn't know, we'll take a look at this. Here's the Philippines, and there's like 7,000 islands in the Philippines. And you look at these, look at the beaches. I mean, it's incredible. I spent a year living on Oahu, and it's way too expensive. That is awesome. I mean, for somebody who didn't know, that looks like Hawaii. That is incredible, and it's in the Philippines. And the good thing about it, as we see down here, is that the official language, of course, is Filipino, but there's a heavy influence on English, enough to the point of where a lot of people speak English in the Philippines. So that's one less hurdle that you'll have to do. But again, these pictures, and when we look at the map, where is the Philippines? So here I am up in South Korea. You have the Philippines here. You have Vietnam, Cambodia. You have Hong Kong, Taiwan. And then, of course, down below you've got Singapore, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, and, Australia way down there. So that's where the Philippines is. This is really good. So you could visit a bunch of other countries, Asian countries, and so on and so forth. A lot of different things. Seems to be a good alternative. And again, if you take a look at the Philippines and the history of the Philippines, again, there's like 7,000 islands. It has a lot of Spanish influence, and then there's the U.S. military had their turn, and so on and so forth. There was a lot of military bases that were on the Philippines in World War II, and just a lot of great, rich history when it comes to the Philippines. But when it comes to veterans, how vet-friendly is it? Well, here's the VA website, the Department of Veteran Affairs, and when you look for VA clinics, there's one in Manila. There's the address right there. I mean, that is huge. Now, for those people that are wondering, I'm retired in Korea, and I am close to the largest U.S. overseas military base in the world, which is Camp Humphreys, Korea. Has like 30 or 35,000 soldiers, family members, contractors. It is the largest U.S. military base overseas in the world. Does it, does it have a VA clinic? No. But the Philippines has a VA clinic. So that's kind of a huge thing. So let's go back to this. And we're going to talk about the visa, the Special Resident Retirees Visa, the SRRV, SR squared cubed V visa thing. Anyway, with this, there's a bunch of different options, and I'm going to have all these links in the description box down below. The Philippines is an excellent place for foreign nationals looking forward to retirement. The country is a value for money destination, boasting of a lot of beautiful places at low cost living with the warmth and hospitality of its people. The Philippine Retirement Authority, or the PRA, administers special resident retiree visas, and they have a number of different programs. So there's different privileges and benefits, one of those being an indefinite stay with multiple exit and entry privileges. This is huge because, in other words, once you get your SRRB, boom, you can come and go as you please, which is awesome. There are some places where it's not like that, and the costs and fees associated with getting a retirement visa in some other countries is a lot more expensive. Again, it depends on the country and so on and so forth. But yeah, you can stay indefinitely. As long as you just pay the yearly fees or the renewal fees, you're good to go. And those fees, by the way, are not that expensive. You have exemptions for this ACR1 card. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm assuming you're going to have to pay some money that people normally have to pay that you don't have to pay when you do this. Another benefit is customs and duty taxes for one-time importation of household goods and personal effects up to $7,000 US. Some countries don't do this. The Philippines does. So if you have a big screen TV that you absolutely love, or you have up to $7,000 of personal items, gear, clothing, whatever it is, that will be exempt from that duty and import tax into the Philippines, which is bonus. But a lot of people kind of like what we did. We sold everything in the United States and we just brought a couple of suitcases and retired overseas. So it's good to know that you have options and you don't have to do the 2 suitcase thing, and you could actually ship things to the Philippines and not get taxed for it. Tax from pensions and annuities, bonus. Travel tax, it talks about that. There's student visa and study permits. Access to Greet and Assist program at selected Philippine airports. So in other words, if you are part of these programs, you get some extra assistance when you get into the Philippines. They have a subscription to the PRA newsletter, discount privileges from PRA accredited merchant partners. In other words, you get certain discounts on goods and services with these associated partners. Let's see, free assistance in transacting with other government agencies. You know, from what I've seen, not a lot of people use it, but it is a benefit nonetheless. Entitlement to Filipino health benefits and privileges. And we're going to talk about the eligible SRRV applicants. Now, basically, this is going to break down everything that we need to know. And I think what we'll end up doing, let's make this a little bit bigger so that we can read this stuff. There we go. Eligible applicants. They must be foreign nationals, except those classified as restricted, or former Filipinos that are at least 35 years old, physically healthy with no derogatory information. In other words, a police background check. You can have a dependent spouse, must be legally married to the principal retiree. Children must be legitimate or legally adopted, unmarried and below the age of 21 when joining the program. So now we're going to talk about the different SRRV options. There's a number of them, but the best one is the last one. If you're a military veteran or a military veteran that has a pension, like a military pension, but you don't get a lot out of the military pension because you weren't an officer, pay attention to the last one. First one is SMILE for active duty retirees who opt to maintain their visa deposit of $20,000 in any PRA accredited bank. So for retiring overseas, a lot of countries will require you to have X amount of dollars deposited into a local bank, and it needs to be verified. Some funds have to sit in that bank and draw interest. You can't take it out. Some can be used for purchasing a house or investments into the country that you're at. But here in the Philippines, it's only $20,000. And you can get your visa. Then they have the classic, which is for retirees who use their Visa deposit into an active investment, such as purchasing a condominium or long-term lease of house and lot. One thing to note with the Philippines is that foreigners cannot own land in the Philippines. They want to keep all the land for the Filipinos there, which makes sense. You don't want to sell your country out and the land to other countries. So you can lease out the land and you can buy the property. So you can do that. And they have these deposits as follows. So if you're 50 years old and above, it could be $10,000 with a pension. And you could be 50 years old and $20,000 without a pension. But if you don't have a pension, you still need to have some type of form of income. So hopefully you have a form of income, but we're kind of directing this towards the military retirees or maybe somebody who has like a VA disability pension. 35 to 49 years old with $50,000 deposit. And talking about with that purchase of the condominium unit or house and lot, the value of the property must be at least $50,000 US. Required pension of at least $800 for somebody who's single or $1,000 for a couple, so a husband and wife, you and a significant other. This is really good because if you're on Social Security or you're on a military retirement, it's probably going to be $800 or more right there. $1,000 for a couple, so the income requirements for the pension is a lot lower than what some other countries have on their requirements. So again, talking about retiring on the cheap, Philippines is one of those options that could be good. They have a human touch for ailing retirees. In other words, if you have some medical complications and you need to go into an assisted living facility, 35 years and above, a monthly pension of at least $1,500 a month, a health insurance policy accepted in the Philippines, and a Visa deposit of $10,000. This is really good because for those people, let me talk about this right here. Nobody likes talking about end-of-life scenarios or broaching the subject that eventually I might have to live in an assisted living facility because I'm going to get old. I'm going to be 58 in a few months. And yeah, no one likes talking about it, but we have to because it's going to happen unless you die early, which, I don't know. But yeah, for $1,500 in a monthly pension, a health insurance policy, which TRICARE is acceptable from what I've seen so far, and a Visa deposit of $10,000, that's not a lot. And let's say you find an assisted living facility, you're going to have to pay for that as well. But compare the prices for an assisted living facility in the United States versus the Philippines, and you will be like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm going to the Philippines. Or, some other country. It's a lot less expensive in an overseas location for an assisted living facility than it is in the United States. I know this for a fact because when I lived in Florence, Colorado, I think Florence, Colorado has like 5,000 or 10,000. It's in southern Colorado. It's below Colorado Springs, Colorado, by about an hour away. Small town. They had an assisted living facility for seniors, and it was like $4,000 a month. In a small podunk southern Colorado town, about $3,500 a month to $4,000, depending on the level of services. Compared that to my grandmother, who was living in San Bernardino, California, who was in a living assisted facility, which was $8,000 or $9,000 a month. That is insane. There's other places in California, New York, it's even more. So there's people, if you can't afford $8,000 or $9,000 a month to live in an assisted living facility, where are you going to go? Are you going to sponge off family? What if you don't have family? What if, Philippines is a viable option. You can search and look up assisted living facilities in the Philippines, and it is way less expensive, and the quality of care is really good compared to the United States. And again, it depends on your budget and so on and so forth, but this might be a viable option for those who are not feeling well, that aren't medically good, that you're going to need some assistance, and the requirements are not that bad. Let's take a look at the courtesy program. Courtesy program here is for former Filipinos 35 years old and above, or foreign nationals that are 50 years old and above. So this is really good. Are retired officers of international organizations recognized by the Department of Foreign Affairs. A visa deposit of $1,500 is required. I'm not sure what these organizations are. I've tried to look into it. Haven't really put a lot of energy into it, to be honest with you, because when I found this one here, the expanded courtesy program, and especially for the people that have contacted me, are mostly retired veterans or Social Security and or veterans and or have VA disability payments coming to them. This is the one that just blew my hair back, and this is the one I want to talk about, the expanded courtesy. This is also for foreign nationals, 50 years and above, who are retired armed forces officers of foreign countries with existing military ties or agreement with the Philippine government. Don't get bent out of shape as saying officers. It applies to enlisted as well, if you're retired. A monthly pension of at least $1,000 and a deposit of $1,500. Only $1,000. So that means if you're retired enlisted and you don't get a lot for your retirement, because kind of like me, it's, $1,000, that's a very low requirement, which is awesome. And a deposit of $1,500. Whoop-de-doo. That, we can do that. So for example, I've been retired since 2005, but my military pension is like, what is it? I was an E7, and it's like 23. I think it's like $2,300 after taxes. Boom, that's a done deal. And again, the amount of expenses that you have to pay in the Philippines, can you do it on $1,000? Yeah, there's people that do it, and you see them on YouTube and so on and so forth. But for a military retirement for somebody like me who's 58, who's getting like $2,300 a month, boom, this fits the bill. And the deposit is not much at all. $2,500? Wow. The SRRV visa deposit includes the principal applicant and 2 dependents. So you could be married and have a little ape hanger, crotch rocket crawly thingy that they're called kids. You could have one of those and you could retire in the Philippines as well. Additional dependent entails additional SRRV deposit of $15,000 each, except for former Filipinos. So again, if you've got a horde of rugrats, you're going to have to pay some extra money. But we're talking about people that it's usually just the husband and the wife, maybe one kid. Maybe you have some special needs children that they can't get out of the house and you have to give them the care. Philippines might be an option. There's some other options out there, but Philippines is one of them. And again, the child has to be your legitimate, birth certificate or legally adopted and below the age of 21. So yeah, and also on here will be the filing application and the process, the deposit. You have to have a certificate into one of their banks and a receipt, certificate of inward remittance. In other words, you got to have a receipt for that. Go to the Consulate General for authentication of documents. It applies for a tourist visa. You can do that. Submit the following documents upon arrival in Manila. So again, that's going to have to be something where you go to Manila, and you'll need original valid passport, probably 6 months or more. The application form, you have to have a valid medical clearance. In other words, you get checked for, because they don't want somebody who's like strung out in drugs or STDs out the wazoo, so you'll have to be cleared. Police clearance from the country of origin, kind of like the FBI background check that we had to do when, we got our visas here in Korea. And photos, the passport photos, you need 8 of those. The deposit certificate, the fee. Now here is when it comes down to fees, because there's some countries that have the fees and they're a lot more expensive than what we see in the Philippines. So a one-time processing fee of $1,400. That's not bad at all. A principal applicant, $300 for the dependent applicant. So let's say you and your significant other, we're looking at $1,700. That's not bad. And depending on the annual fee, if you have all of the previous SRRV visas and not the Courtesy Plus, you'll be paying an annual renewal fee of $360. Of course, you'll need your marriage certificate, birth certificates if you have a child, and so on and so forth. And then if it's approved, then boom, you're good to go. So I'll be including this link for this. This just happens to be the one for New York City, New York, but it's a great explanation of all of these programs for the SRRV. So I'll include that. Another thing we're going to take a look at is the benefits, some assistance. You get the newsletter. We talked about that. Different benefits. We talked about that. Let's see, what else? I already did that, so we'll close that one out. Banks, partnership banks. So it has a list of banks: Bank of Commerce, BDO, DBP, KEB Hana Bank, PNB, Shinhan Bank, Union Bank. I'm not sure about the banks in regards to which one is better than the other, so you'll have to do your due diligence. But at least this PRA website, the Philippine Retirement Authority website, gives you the banks. And let's just click on this first one here, and it gives you the contact number and accredited branches, all of them. So, yeah, that's kind of good. What about BDO? Does it do the same thing? Yep, accredited branches, Cebu, DBP. Okay. Bank of the Philippines, okay, interesting. So they have some different places. KEB Hana, formerly Korea Exchange Bank. So for those of us in Korea, hey, that might be worth doing to easily transfer money from our Korean bank account. Philippine National Bank, Shinhan Bank, Union Bank, all branches. So yeah, that's kind of a good thing to show you what they have there. Also on this webpage, they will have downloads, and on the downloads, you can look on the checklist requirements. You can get the principal application in English, Chinese, Japanese, or Korean. You can have the application for a dependent in those languages as well. You also have the medical form certificate and some other information and things that you can download. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of a great thing that we have right there. And then the last thing I want to take a look at is this website here. Now this is vaningenmanagement.com. I have no idea if this is a reputable company or not, but as I was scouring the interwebs for information, I liked how it organized this in this template or file here. So basically it has the different SRRV. You have the classic, the smile, the courtesy, and the human touch, and it shows you the ages, and it shows you the deposit that you have to put down. And if we look at the courtesy or the courtesy 50 plus, again, the deposit is only $1,500. Annual fee for all of these, except for the courtesy plus, is $360 a year. And when we go down here, and I saw this on, here it is, the costs and the fees. The one-time application fee is $1,400, $300 for dependent. Yearly membership fee payable in advance for the SRRV courtesy is only $10. All other SRRVs are $360, and I verified this off of another Philippine government website. So yeah, and I just like the way that they put the information in this website. Again, I'm not recommending it as somebody to contact. Matter of fact, what does their homepage say? Free application assistance, Mary Rose, Vaningen Management, free? Oh, available for free assistance by Mary Rose. Okay, now this makes sense. It says that if you decide to retire in the Philippines, we offer free service that prepares you for this important step in your life. Will be taken away the administrative burden and guarantee a hassle-free visa application process. And the registration for the fee is only available for those who register us before applying for the visa. For those that need assistance, after they have applied directly, a reasonable fee will be charged. I think this has to do with and I've looked it up, is that there's actually, when you do that processing, that if you use an agency, the Philippine government will pay that agency $500. I've read that like 3 or 4 times already and seen some videos on it. So if you have an agency that does your application and walks you through this process, kind of like this company does, is the Philippine government will send them $500, and I'm assuming that comes out of that application fee. So there are Philippine immigration agencies that will help you do it for a fee. I've seen some that will charge $1,000 or $1,500 on top of the fee that you have to pay the Philippine government. So in other words, you're, say for $1,000, if the agency charges you $1,000, you're going to pay them $1,000, and then the Philippine government is going to give them $500 out of that application fee of $1,400. Are they upfront about it? Some, I haven't seen too many that are upfront, saying that they get paid by the Philippine government out of the application fee. So just be aware of that. So this might actually be a good service. I don't know. But they've got the info, they've got the requirements, like we went through there, and their contact information, and top marketer in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2020. So it might be, that might be something to look into, or at least contact. Again, I'm not giving any credence to this company because I don't know, but what I liked was the information that they had on their website and how it was organized in regards of this little kind of like thing, that thing there. So again, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't show you guys that. I just kind of went through and I was just talking and clicking and not showing. So yeah, let me go back and do this. Free application assistance. What they have, it says that if you decide to retire in the Philippines, we offer a free service that prepares you for this. Now, is it really free? No, the Philippine government will pay them $500 when they do it. Now, again, like I just said, they ended up that they have, you have some agencies that will help you do it. They charge you a fee, and they'll get that additional $500 for the Filipino government. So I think what this company is doing is they're advertising a free service, but they're going to get $500 from the Filipino government. Now, could you do this on your own as, do it yourself, hand walk it through? Yeah, you could, but free service, if they do a good job, I don't know if they do, but yeah, it might be worth it. So the contact information, as I told you about, here's the contact information again. Top marketer in 2016, 15, 17, 18, and 2020, awarded by the PRA. So apparently they're doing something right. So this might be, again, I haven't used them, haven't contacted them, I have no idea. I just like the way they put their information. So now that we did that, is it possible to retire on the cheap? And what recommendation would I give? Well, the Philippines is a place that is going to be our plan B. And if you retire overseas, you should have a plan B or a backup plan. Since we retired here in Korea, which is good, what is our backup plan? Well, the wife and I were talking about this, and it looks like Philippines is going to be our plan B for now because it's inexpensive, because it doesn't have high fees or deposits that you need to have, and the yearly renewal fee for the Classic Plus is only $10 for those of us who have a military retirement or pension. So yeah, that seems like a no-brainer. And even if you don't have the military pension, but you have other things like Social Security, even at $360 for a renewal fee every year, that's not bad either. So again, for those people that are kind of wondering what I would recommend, this is what we are currently looking into because of the cost, because of the location, and because if it's kind of like, well, what is the straw that would kind of lend us to go to the Philippines? Because there's a VA clinic there. And so if I have to file more claims, I can go to Manila, I can get my evals done and so on and so forth. There's a VA clinic, I can get treated at, by the VA there. Whereas in other countries, I would have to go get treatment. It gets covered by my TRICARE Overseas Select. I might have to pay for everything for like VA disability treatment. I might have to pay all that up front, submit that paperwork to the VA, and then get reimbursed later on. So if that's a sticking point, if all things being equal, everything was the exact same between the Philippines and some other country, and the last deciding factor was whether they had a VA clinic, well, then the Philippines would be a place to go. So anyway, not a lot of deposit required for the SRRV. Not a huge amount of pension is required for this, which is nice. Look at Malaysia, and they used to have like $1,000 or $1,500, and then they upped it up to like $8,000. So they just blew out a bunch of people. I think a lot of people were grandfathered in, but not now. So where are people that want to retire that can't go to Malaysia? Well, the Philippines might be a possible option because of the low pension requirements to get into the country. So yeah, we're looking at doing the Philippines, and definitely, even if we don't fully retire there, we might just end up using it as a way to get out of Korea for 2 or 3 months during the wintertime and go do the beach thing for a couple of months out of the year. Be the official snowbirds. Check that off our box of being retirees, of living in Korea, and then during the winter when it gets cold, to go down to the Philippines or whatever. So I don't know if that appeals to you or not. So anyway, that's what we got going on, and people have asked me, what is the plan B? What would I recommend since they can't retire in Korea because Korea isn't expat or retiree friendly per se? Philippines. It's cheap, inexpensive. And again, wherever you retire overseas, there's going to be some complications. There will be complications, but there will be some compromises that you need to make anywhere. But yeah, this is the information I found, and I think this is to the point of where the wife and I were talking that, I think this is going to be our plan B because it's inexpensive, multiple entry and exit. It doesn't require a huge deposit of money like some other countries require, and it's veteran friendly. So yeah, there's that. And are there military bases U.S. bases in the Philippines? Let's see. There's naval bases. So that's kind of good. And Reuters comes up and says, interesting. So the United States naval bases, major naval bases in Manila, according to this, and we take a look at this, see if we can make this a little bigger. That's not what I want. I want to go back here. Let's kind of move this over. So Naval Base Manila. Minor Philippine bases. I don't think all of those are open. What about this? Reveals locations for 4 new strategic sites for U.S. military pact. Manila, the Philippines identified on Monday, and this was back in April of what? 2023. 4 more of its military bases that the U.S. will get access to, almost doubling the number, including the defense agreements. So, yeah, apparently there's some military bases. So if you know the military bases in the Philippines and you like being close to a military base so that you have access to the PX and the commissary and other things of, food court and stuff like that, kind of like what we have here. We live close to Camp Humphreys. It is really helpful having the commissary and the PX and, But for the most part, yeah, the gym, I mean, just think, if you can go to the military base and you have access, you can go to their gyms and it's free. So, yeah, there's some extra bennies of being close to a military base. So, yeah, that's something else I need to look at. But if you know what active U.S. military bases are in the Philippines, put those in the comment section down below. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. I know this is a long video. It's only 35 minutes. Usually my videos are an hour. I've been trying to get more condensed versions of my videos so that they're not as long. But when we're talking about retirement and you're talking about overseas, it's not going to be a 30 or 60-second TikTok video. It's just not going to happen. So with that being said, like and subscribe to the channel. Would appreciate that as well. And tell me, is the Philippines a possible option for you? Have you even thought about it? Or have you found some other countries that might be good options to retire for those that don't have a huge pension in their pockets coming in every month? If you know some places, put those in the comments, and I'd like to look up those as well. So anyway, that's going to be it. Got to get some breakfast, and we will see you on the next video. Peace. Good stuff. Good stuff.